Not far from the northern Italian Lake Garda is the town of Brescia. With a Centro Storico that has a notably interesting history, impressive architecture and a wealth of churches, like Santi Nazaro E Celso. A classicist building from the 18th century, clearly executed inside and out, but especially famous for the altar of Titian, with its paintings of the resurrection of Christ. Nearby is the church of Santa Maria Dei Miracoli, constructed in 1488 on the site of an image of the Virgin Mary, with a marble portico resting on decorated columns. Half of the interior is somewhat unusual in having two domes, and is dominated by the relief decorations which emanate over the architecture. The frescoes and panel paintings are comparatively mediocre. A few steps away, the mendicant order of the Franciscans built the most beautiful early Gothic church in the town in the early 14th century. The facade is still strictly structured in Romanesque style, but Gothic wheel windows are beginning to show their presence. The alleys become ever more narrow, and even the tower clock itself looks like a medieval fortified tower. Here, one small palazzo follows the other, as the people were very rich, especially during the peaceful reign of Venice. The noble main square of the Centro Storico is typically Venetian, just from the time when Brescia belonged to the Republic of Venice. The clock tower is also similar to the one on St. Mark's Square and rings every hour, as does the Venetian government palace. The medieval city palace Broletto marks the secular power of this period, a fortress with a tower and a beautiful courtyard. The Piazza Paolo was the centre of political and also church life. Until the 19th century, the Duomo Nuovo stood between the Old Cathedral and the Broletto for 200 years. It was a huge dome and a colossal facade which, with columns and pilasters, looks even more imposing. The marble-covered interior appears cool but solemn, and the 80-meter-high dome imposes humility on the visitor. Its creation was a drama of financial hardship and the changing building plans of jealously competing architects. Today, the high altar still somehow allows the visitor to experience the power, size and grandeur of the church as it was when it was built. And the sacred works of art from the late Renaissance beckon a tour. Adjacent is the Old Cathedral, which lies circular on the former ground level, where one is greeted with the magnificent marble coffin of Bishop Maggi at the entrance. The spirit of an early Christian basilica can be sensed in the strictly furnished interior. Followed by a sense of old Rome. Corinthian columns mark the portico in front of the ruins of the Capitol in the former Forum, which Vespasia had built in the year 73. And next to it, the Roman theatre, which could only be partially excavated and once had room for 15,000 spectators. With only a few steps to the Middle Ages. The Museo di Santa Giulia was built in a medieval monastery complex with several cloisters and churches from different eras. With an exhibition area of about 14,000 square meters and exhibits from many years of city history. Everything is clearly arranged and authentically presented, from antiquity to the Venetian rule in Brescia. And, to crown it all, the impressive royal church San Salvatore. The old town is clustered around the Castello on the Cidneo hill. Legend tells that Celtic Ligurians founded a first settlement. In Roman times, there was a temple up here. In the Middle Ages, the Visconti began to fortify the hill, and later the Venetians rebuilt and enlarged the castle several times. The imposing, spacious castle complex is considered one of the largest on the Italian peninsula. The well-preserved castle structure shows the constant development of military methods. From here, the various rulers who alternated throughout history could control the city. The Weapons Museum in the uppermost part of the castle houses valuable collections of armour and weapons from the 15th century. Whole groups of armoured knights and their armoured war horses are exhibited here, conveying a real image of the combat equipment of former times. The development of the city has always been connected with the struggle for power, but Brescia survived and became a World Cultural Heritage in 2011.